Hi, Melanie. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited. I've been excited, I think, since August for this.
Oh, you just thank you for having
Oh,
me.
of course. I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction, and then we'll just go. I'll ask you some questions, and it's pretty flexible. Okay. So, Melanie Berardicelli is a 2017 graduate of SUNY New Paltz, and she graduated with her BFA in painting and drawing. And currently, oh, and you received your MFA in painting at New York Academy of the Arts in 2021. And you're currently MFA faculty at New York Academy of Art, and you're also the president of Audubon Artists Incorporated Art Society.
Yep.
So I'm thrilled to have you, and I just want to show you that yes, I have Augie Goes to the Library, and I got
Oh
this when
my
it first came out, and I went to the signing. So this is always in my
oh,
office, and I love it.
goodness. Oh, that means so much.
Yeah.
That mine.
Oh. Ah! That's awesome. Okay, so I'm just gonna jump in.
Sure.
Um, if you would just share, tell me or tell us a little bit about yourself and also as an artist.
Of course. So you pretty much mentioned most of it. So I'm 28 years old. Like you said, I graduated from New Paltz in 2017 with my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in painting and drawing. After I finished up my degree, I moved back to Long Island, where for 2 years I worked as a K through 8 art and art history instructor at Ivy League School in Smithtown. And then after those 2 years, in 2019, I was accepted to study for my master's degree at the New York Academy of Art. I graduated in 2021 with my degree in painting. And ever since I graduated, I've been teaching at the Academy. So I've been teaching through the continuing education program, teaching courses like painting for still lifes, painting from a live model, as well as through the SERP program, which stands for the Summer Undergraduate Residency Program, in which students from all over the world come to the Academy to pretty much train, take classes, and see what it's like, what an MFA program is like before they make their decision to either apply to the Academy or apply elsewhere. It's also a great portfolio building program. A lot of students make these really phenomenal paintings, drawings, and sculptures that they then use for their applications for master's degrees. Uh, in addition, in the 2 years since I had graduated, I worked as an assistant for Audrey Flack. So I helped her create her current post-pop Baroque series that's been showcased at the Nassau County Museum of Art in Leipzig, Germany, as well as in Art Miami in 2022. And if I'm not mistaken, she has a memoir coming out next year that I helped her edit. In addition, I'm currently master's faculty at the New York Academy of Art. What I teach, and what I was actually teaching this morning, was Structural Anatomy 1. So for Structural Anatomy 1, I teach students how to create an écrochet. Écrochet translates roughly to flayed flesh. It's a 2-foot tall sculpture that students make of a skeleton, accurately looking at proportion, placement of bones, shape of bones, before then sculpting musculature on the left-hand side of the body. Um, in addition to that, I'm also currently president of Audubon Artists, Inc., which is really exciting, being able to create the annual catalog as well as curating the annual exhibition that we have every year. Finally, in my own personal practice, I do a little bit of everything. So I'm a painter, I'm a drawer, I'm a sculptor, I'm an animator. You can see my studio back behind me. I have a studio currently in Dumbo. So when I'm not teaching in Tribeca, I come down to Dumbo to work on my paintings. Anytime that I'm working on mold making, I usually do it at home out in Long Island. And as you can see, my current focus is on the Roman martyr catacomb saints. So it marries my love of anatomy with my love of the ornate, my love of hand sewing. My little skeleton over here, his name is Saint Severin. I hand sewed all the jewelry, the outfits that he's wearing. It took quite some time, but it was a work of love for me, you know? And
That's great.
at home, what I do is I do some mold making. So I'll work on my silicone molds at home, anything that's a little bit on the messier side in my backyard.
Oh, that's great. Wow. I mean, you're so accomplished. Many different things you've done, which is great. I love that program you're talking about that students can build their portfolio and see if they're interested in doing an MFA. That's great. All right, so let me see. What is something that you'd like to share with students about being an entrepreneur?
Okay. So when it comes to being an entrepreneur, organization is key. Speaking from my experience as president of Audubon Artists, Inc., I'm in charge of a national corporation that has currently over 400 members. And in order to keep track of everything and organize our annual events, I have my binders to keep track of everything. I have my Excel sheets. In addition, it's really important to have a great team and developing a good rapport with your team. So I'm very grateful for my vice president, Severin Delps, who I met when I was working as an assistant for Audrey Flack. He was the one that encouraged me to accept the role as president, and he decided to become my vice president, and he's been absolutely wonderful because networking is another great key. He is absolutely wonderful when it comes to networking. He works at a gallery in Chelsea, so he's been able to help us find our jurors to help create a really wonderful annual exhibition. In addition, a lot of being an entrepreneur is also managing our team. So making sure that everyone does their job. Everyone has a very specific and important job to do. So we have one person who's the vice president who helps oversee all operations. There's one person who is the awards chair who keeps a good relationship with our sponsors and donors to make sure that we have our sponsorship every year for the annual exhibition. So that way we can give out our awards and medals for our members. We have another member who is our administrator. They're in charge of running our website and updating our website. We've been an organization that's been around since the 1940s. So there's quite a bit that I've been working to edit and improve and bring into the future.
That's great. Thank you. And a lot of times students hear the word network or networking and it sounds intimidating. What would you say what do you think of when you say networking?
So when I say networking, believe it or not, it's as simple as making friends around you when you're at school, because you never know who's going to remember you, who's going to remember the kindness that you showed them, and then think of you later on for specific opportunities when it comes to gallery shows or job opportunities, job openings. So many of the opportunities that I've had, it came through someone that I went to school with or someone that I worked with at an old job that thought of me.
Yeah, we hear that all the time. And so, yeah, making those connections now is super important. And as you know, you're not only connecting with one person to be in your network, but you're connecting with whoever they're connected with. So in that way, it is really great. All right, thank you for that. Could you share an obstacle you have faced in your career so far?
Sure. So I actually have a really interesting one for us. So I mentioned that for Audubon Artists, Inc., every year I host an annual exhibition. This year the plan was to host at the Art League of Long Island, located in Dix Hills on Long Island. And we were set to have our opening reception on November 4th, which was Saturday coming up in a couple of weeks. I don't know if you guys were hit with the rainstorm that happened about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it affected the city and it affected Long Island. And it was just a deluge. And
Yeah.
the art flooded. It was a freak thing. All the floorboards had to be ripped up, all the walls 2 feet up, be completely taken out. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to renovate the space. So what do? What I've been doing thus far is I've been in communication with my executive board, as well as with the executive board of the Art League of Long Island. And we've come with a compromise to postpone our exhibition date to the spring. So making lemons out of lemonade and
Yeah.
just coordinating and seeing what works.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I saw the coverage
Yeah,
of that and oh, was any artwork destroyed in that
not
or
that I
no?
know of.
Okay, good. Yeah, so something that I've realized recently, but throughout my work, is that planning for obstacles to kind of come up is just part of the journey.
Yes.
Like to know that something might happen and that you just problem solve through it. So the solution, what you've come to, sounds ideal. I mean, the situation was not ideal, but yeah, that they could put it off till the spring.
Yes. I was
And
great.
humor and laughing is good to just take it and move on.
Well, you have to,
Yeah,
otherwise move forward.
exactly. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Let's see. You already shared some of those administrative skills that are necessary once you leave college, to use in your career. Do you have any advice for how students could start building their administrative skills now or their arts management skills while in school?
Sure. So when it comes to administrative skills, uh, I always say, if you have a proficiency in Adobe Suite, if you have a proficiency in the Microsoft programs, PowerPoint and Excel, depending on what route you go in, are going to be absolutely essential. In addition to some of these administrative skills that carry over into my teaching. Public speaking is key. So practicing in front of a mirror, making sure that you feel comfortable talking in front of everyone. And when all else fails, if you're nervous at first, a PowerPoint to help keep you guided is a great tool to use when you're just beginning. I know that's what I did when I first became an educator back in 2014.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that is a great tip. And you also mentioned before, like building rapport with others and like working as a team is so important. And, we say that and it doesn't always, I think it's great to hear from you also that that's important because it's always a team effort or a lot of times. Yeah. Okay, great. Um, what would you say like a typical day is for you? Because you have the teaching, you're creating. What would you say, or a typical week?
Okay, so another big skill to have when you get to the stage is a good work-life balance because I'm doing two different things,
Yeah.
right? So on my Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, those days are dedicated to teaching. So I set aside time. I make sure that everything's prepared ahead of time, my PowerPoints, my handouts, my live demonstrations, so on and so forth. My off days, my Mondays, my Wednesdays, those days I dedicate time to working on my society. So answering emails, updating Excel sheets, working on communications. And then typically I'll give myself X amount of hours. So I usually teach for up to 6 hours in a day. I'll provide that same amount of time working for Audubon Artists, Inc. on the days that I work for Audubon. I will then provide myself 6 hours of time for myself so that way I can move forward with my own personal art practice. A big question people have are, how do you make art? How do you find the time to make art? You kind of have to make the time. If you say to
Mhm.
yourself, I spend 6 hours a day working at this job, give yourself those 6 hours in the day. Sometimes I'll stay up until 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. to do it, but it's well worth it, in my opinion, just to make sure that I'm still working, improving. And on days where I find myself completely overwhelmed and I can't get to the studio, then at the very least, working on a small drawing, something that you can do in an hour. So that way you're still keeping those skills fresh, working every day. things like that. And then of course, weekends are just for being human.
Yeah, that's super
Yeah.
important. So the artwork is creative, but you do have that structure around
Yes,
it.
yes, yes. And part of why I love my current MFA class so much is because it is a healthy balance of structure and creative artistic outlet. Because my students can let you know, when we first begin the écrochet, I have to make sure that everything is to the correct proportion, the correct measurement. If one thing is slightly off, then everything is going to be completely out of place. So I'm very particular about the placement of everything. But then once the skeletal part is set, the musculature is all about looking for origin points and insertion points, and then trusting the eyes to create the volumes, the shapes, and the rhythms of the body.
Great, great. What would you say is one of the things you're most proud of in your work?
Oh, so I would say one of the things I'm most proud of, it would be the fact that I keep pushing myself. I'm always determined to keep improving. And I'm always discovering new things. So one of my most recent works, it's not currently in my studio, it's back home on Long Island. I married my love of anatomy and forensics with portraiture. So I had a half portrait, half skull, and then I did some hand sewing. So I really pushed myself with this, and I taught myself how to translate, marry my understanding of flesh tones with my 2D painting on a three-dimensional surface to create an illusionistic bust of a saint. So that was something that I'm really proud of with my current work.
Wow, that's great. You know, it definitely comes across that you love what you do. And so I think that also helps with the balance of kind of the work and home life because a lot of your time you give to your work, but it also is joyful, satisfying. Would you say that? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't be doing what I do if I didn't love it. So I always make sure that whatever it is that I pursue or that I do, it's worth my time and that I love it. And when you love what you do, everyone else that's
Yeah,
on your team
it's
or is
great.
part of your class is going to love being a part of it as well.
That's true. What would you say is a takeaway you could share with current students about your time at SUNY New Paltz?
Sure. So, some things that I want to talk about from both New Paltz as well as after I graduated from the academy. Keep an open mind about the possibilities that the future has to offer, because I can tell you, when I was week one freshman back in 2013, a decade now at New Paltz, I never ever would have imagined that I would be any of the things that I am today, a professor, a president, or a children's book illustrator, right? These things just happen your way. So be open to the possibilities that can come your way. In addition, some other bits of advice that I would love to give is make sure always give credit where credit is due. Thank the people that have helped you along the way. You know, be in a mindset of gratitude. Gratitude will lead to a much more positive and happier time. Always be kind to others and help others. And the reason why I say that is, you know, it's a wonderful thing to do. You never know when they're going to in turn help you again. And you'd be surprised at what you will learn in helping people. So an interesting story I have about that is when I was still a student and doing a work study at the academy, I was asked, can I help out in 2020 to create the virtual convention video since it was the COVID year. And at the time, I had no idea how to do any sort of video editing, so I learned how to use the different elements of Adobe Suite, and now I use it all the time for my own practice. I use it all the time for my demos that I provide for my students, for promotional video for the Academy. And I also use the Adobe Suite elements to create the catalogs for my art society. So you'd be amazed with one little thing. Someone asks you, can you help out? And you say yes. It will lead to.
Right.
So it leads to opportunities of growth. Some other things too is never stop learning and use every resource that you have available to you. So after I graduated, you have a lot of information that's being bombarded at you when you're a student, right? And it's a little bit tricky trying to manage your time because you have deadlines and grades and things like that, right? But once you graduate, you have a little bit more leeway, a little bit more free time. So during that time, I used the library at the Academy as well as the wonderful specimen closet that we have that's filled with bones and taxidermied animals, things like that. And I would sit and I would dedicate about an hour or three to like work on a small study. So this is one of my little vertebrae studies that I did, the cervical vertebrae. But not only was it really enjoyable to do, but you learn so much more now that you've got the time and the resources and you have the initial skills, but then just pushing yourself further. Finally, some other ones that I would love to tell everyone is go to art fairs and gallery opening receptions. You never know who you're going to meet there. That boils back to networking as well as seeing what's out there, seeing what everyone's interested in nowadays. The art world is always swinging, and I've been seeing a little bit more of a rise in figurative work these days. So we live in a time of pluralism. In addition, as always, trust your instincts, make art that you love, and never sell yourself short. And that goes along with also staying determined, never losing sight of your goals, never giving up. There will be hard times, but if you push through and you believe in yourself, you will make it through, and you'll be surprised at what you'll be capable of on the other side. And finally, I tell everyone, enjoy your time at New Paltz. New Paltz is such a beautiful campus. It's a wonderful community. Soak it in. The fall is a beautiful time to be walking along the rail trail. And this is your home for the next 4 years. So you'll learn a lot, you'll grow a lot, and it goes a lot quicker than you think. So enjoy every minute of it.
Thank you so much. I love that. Were you a part of any clubs or organizations while in school?
I was a part of the honors program. So
Oh, nice.
the Augie book that I helped illustrate, it was not only a work study that I did while I was at New Paltz, but it was also part of my honors thesis. So that was another wonderful opportunity that I'm grateful to New Paltz for.
Shout out to Pat Sullivan.
Yes.
And I'm sure a lot of the professors that you had in art as well,
Yes.
in FMPA. Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't be anywhere without them. I'm grateful to them every day.
Oh, that's great. So anything else you wanted to share? I think you've shared so much already, but I didn't know if there was anything else.
I think that about covered it,
I think
unless
so too.
someone else.
Yeah. No, I think it was great. I learned a lot. I always learn a lot. So thank you again. Thank you for being my Alumni Weekend guest.
Sure.
And it was just so great to chat with you. So now I've chatted with you. I have the book, and I think you might have another one. Do you have another one? Augie
Another
goes
book?
to another Augie one or no?
That was another work study done by a student just before me. So a
Okay.
little bit about the process if you'd like.
Yeah.
So when I first got asked to do this,
Hmm.
in the beginning, open call, seeing which students would be interested in doing this internship, teaming up with Rachel Rigliano and Mike Malloy for their children's
Hmm.
book. And the requirement was to submit a portfolio, I think of about 10 pieces. And at the time, I loved working with colored pencils. I loved color. And I didn't have any dog drawings. So I asked all my friends, I was like, can you send me a photo of your dog? I'll do a drawing of your dog for you so that way I can build up my portfolio. I submitted it, keeping my fingers crossed, not really thinking, and lo and behold, they accepted me. So when I first joined the Augie team, they showed me the previous book to let me get an idea of the storyline, who the characters are, as well as what the previous style was and how we can change it for this next book. From there, I worked really closely with Colleen Cody.
Hmm.
She was absolutely amazing, mentoring me throughout the entire process.
And
So,
she's in communication and marketing.
yeah,
That's where, yeah, she was at.
so she had outlined the entire book. She created plates for me where we organized what would be a single page illustration, where a vignette would go, where we'd have a double page spread, and then planning where which page that the words would go. We decided that we would have all of the text on the left-hand side because naturally we read from left to right, and we're working with early readers here. From there, I was encouraged to actually follow Augie to the Elton Memorial Library in town, where I got to watch the children read to Augie as part of the Read to the Dog program. And it was really adorable because there was one little kid who was sitting and he would read in run-ons, right? He wouldn't take a pause after he'd read a sentence. So what they would do to help him learn how to pause and take a breath is at the end of each sentence, he would say pause, and then he touched Augie's paws.
Oh, that's really sweet. Yeah, I really love that.
It was really
I,
sweet. I'm sorry.
no, no, I was just thinking because you're talking about it's for younger readers, but like I loved it. So. Not sure what that says about me, but
Honestly, I think it's something that everyone can enjoy because it's a positive message. And the story
yeah,
is about a young reader gaining confidence in their reading skills, right?
right.
So I followed Augie to his different jobs. He was a lot like me, had two different jobs. He'd work at the Elton Memorial Library, and he'd also work as a geese chaser on campus. So I
And
watched.
just so everybody knows, Augie is a doggy.
Yeah,
So it sounds like Augie was a person. He had many jobs.
so um, I followed him and I studied his mannerisms, and things that stood out to me were his expressions. When he'd be alert, his ears would go up like this. So you'd see that a lot in the book itself. Uh, Then from there, I created some sketches to plan out and organize the book, the compositions. I discussed it with my team. Robin Arnold was a part of the team who helped mentor me as well. And then from there, week by week, I would create the next page. And I spent about a year working on this project before finally it was released. And we had it at that book signing that you were at,
Yeah.
where it was me, Rachel, Mike, and Augie, who was doing paw autographs.
So cute, so cute. So I also really like, oh, I have the little paw autograph. I went all in. And I love when you said that you applied and you really built your portfolio. These opportunities are out there for students, really in all majors, and it's you committing to doing it, to take a shot that made the difference. Because sometimes, there's a lot out there, and sometimes it seems like it's noise, but that was very valuable for you, and you went for it, which I think is the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For it every day. It was such a wonderful experience to be a part
Oh,
of.
yeah. Well, again, thank you so much, Melanie. I really appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Here you as well. Have a great one.
Thank
Bye.
you.